She calls herself not a small fry, but a big deal. And she's right. Nicola Sybliss-McLeod is the senior manager at Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, a mother, a wife, and a woman who believes in honest work, hard work, and hard work. But beyond the titles and achievements lies a story of purpose, resilience, and vision, and that's the story we're about to uncover. Some people tiptoe through life. Nicola Sybliss-McLeod creates waves. Let's wade into her story. But before we do that, Nicola, could you briefly tell us who you are without giving too much away?
Oh, wow. And thank you so much for that introduction. I believe you put it together quite nicely. I firstly am a mother of two boys. I am a wife. I am a Christian, and I am a woman who is passionate about fulfilling my purpose. And without giving too much away, as you said, my purpose is really entwined in a lot of things, not one thing. But I'm really someone who's passionate about helping others.
Okay. That's nice. Because, we're going to read deeper into your story as we progress through this interview. And for those listening, me and Nicola, we went to the same high school together. I believe we graduated the same year as well, in 2006 at Arden, the Duke Quarry. And you're the second person from Arden I've interviewed since I started the interview session with Adventures of a Warsaw.
And I know I won't be the last one.
No, definitely not, because I realize you guys have been doing quite interesting things all over the world.
And I look forward to those interviews as well.
Yes. So, Nicola, when you look back at your younger self at RNI, or even earlier, did you see glimpses of the leader you've become today?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. So I always say that I saw my future, but I didn't know how I would get there. I saw myself sharing my story very similar to how I'm sharing it now. And I've, begun sharing it in other ways in maybe the last year or two. And I knew that I would be successful in my own right. But in high school, I didn't know how I would get there, because the reality is that I was seeing a vision into the future, but the present moment at that time did not look anything like that. There was no clear path. It was a very difficult time for me in high school, and I didn't know how I would make it. And to be honest, I was not even actively working on getting there, because while I saw that vision and I saw that future, it still seems so far-fetched to me.
Right. Even I had no clue about what my future would entail at all. I knew I was supposed to be in a different country. I did end up in a different country eventually, but not the country that I had intended at all time, which was the UK, to be reunited with my mother and so forth. Unfortunately, things didn't pan out, and I was basically in my career of accounting. I honestly do not like accounting.
Wow.
And then the job where I was working, you just didn't make it any more interesting or fun. Where, that's why I'm doing this right now, sharing more of my creative side, because I'm finding out that more as we go on.
Part of your purpose.
Yes. So you describe yourself as not a small fry, but a big deal. Where does that fire and boldness come from?
I have to say that I did not always have that fire and boldness. It's something that I learned in I would say maybe in my mid-20s when I started working. I, gained my confidence in my first place of employment, not place of employment. I was confident about who I was, what I had to offer to the world. And so, however, however, I lost that confidence when I transitioned to my second place of employment. I guess because everything was so new to me, I I really struggled. And it took a few years for me to realize that, hey, I see myself as a cat, but others see me as a lion in the room. And the more I realized it, the more I started to believe it. And when you see me say that I'm not a small fry, I'm a big deal, that's also me reminding myself. So it's not overconfident or being cocky. It's really me just saying I I am a big
Yeah, I understand your point, especially about that part where you say you see yourself as a cat, not a lion,
deal.
because I, I, I think I still do it for myself these days, saying that I'm not that great in what I'm doing, although I kind of have a tendency to just anything I'm doing, try to strive for perfection. But somebody be like, yeah, man, you're really good. You are really good. And I'm trying to see myself more in that light these days and just appreciate the person who I am and who I am becoming also. You know?
Yes, and that is a journey. It's not something that happens overnight. It's really a journey in getting there. So sometimes when you get there, people may think that you were always this confident or you were always this sure of yourself. But no, for some of us, it took a while for us to actually believe it.
Right, because I've done since launching my book last year. I've done a good amount of TV interviews on even some radio interviews as well. Every time I've done, I've actually still felt very shaken inside, but when I get responses, they're like, you were so much calmer compared to the first time, so much when we could not see, you know, the shakiness or whatnot. But my heart was beating so fast. You started in customer service before moving into NGO and project work. What lessons from those early days still guide you now?
So one of the lessons that guides me now is the value of people. Like regardless of the space that I'm working in and what I'm doing and what I'm tasked to do, what I've always tried to prioritize is what I call people work. So knowing the value of people, whether they're your peers, whether they're your subordinates, and whether they're also your superiors. And I think I've grown really well at working with others, sharing a vision with other persons, working towards that vision and that goal, and bringing on persons that have sometimes excluded from that vision and helping everyone to see the big picture. So I think one of the lessons is that people work. Sometimes we can be a little selfish in the workplace where it's all about getting to a particular goal, but not necessarily thinking of the people who are going to help us along the way to get here.
I, that is so true. Having the right people, with the right kind of framework around really does helps to move the mission of the business forward. And especially with that NGO type of work, you need that type of thing around, right? One of the, because one of the guests that I interviewed recently is, she started out her own NGO called I Care Sustainably, right? And she asked me she asked those type of people around. So that will really, help the cause very much. The branches tells us much about the tree, but the roots explain the reach. Let's dig into yours. What role did your family or community play in shaping your compassion or sense of service?
My family really played a big role in shaping my compassion and sense of service because my mother is someone who has always been a very giving person, someone who is always engaged within the community, especially the church community, because I grew up in church. And the church, as part of my community as well, really played a role in terms of my level of service and giving to others, because I would have benefited from that as a child. How much would have been poured into me from my church community, and how much my mom would have poured into others, and I watched others pour into her, of which I was a beneficiary. And so for me, as an adult, I have to pay that forward. I have to pay it forward, which means that I have to continue that. And a lot of times you hear people say, we're literally living on the blessings of our parents. So the good things that our parents have done, we're basically living on that. It reciprocates right back to us. And I want to do the same for my children. So that ensures that I play an active role, whether it is in my social community or physical community, that I am compassionate and I'm giving of my time and giving of my talents.
Based on this, is there a particular defining moment growing up in Jamaica that planted the seed for your passion for the people?
I can't think of a particular defining moment, but I just know that in high school, I started out wanting to be a guidance counselor, because in high school, the guidance counselor was very impactful for me. And I started out wanting to be a guidance counselor, which is a people profession, one that helps students, helps children. And then from that, my love for psychology grew. And in doing my day-to-day job, since I wasn't working in any of those areas, even though I had studied in that area, I wasn't working in any of those areas. In my day-to-day job, I had to do some HR function when I was working in the BPO sector. I was doing some HR functions as a supervisor. I was not working in HR, but there are a little intersectionalities. You do have to know a little. And I find that I love that too. And when I reflect, all of those areas are largely people focused. They are very much person centered. And so I just naturally gravitated towards those areas. So I don't have a defining moment, but I know the seed started out from there, from that impact that that person had on my life, and me wanting to impact others in the same way. And it's just blossomed and developed into what it is now. And it's still developing, because I'm still not there yet.
Yes, there's always room for refinement. Yes, and that's also part of why I'm doing even the reason why I wrote my big self as well. I would say I am per se like you yourself, where I would jump in for a role. I'm more behind the scenes type of person that will support people. So like writing my book, we'll be showing that to others. I've been through this, and this is how you can overcome some of the challenges, writing through poetry, creating this podcast, showing other people's stories, and showing that there's other people also could assist you. And if you have a similar career path, you can, take guidance from them as well. Right?
Yes.
Right. So you wore so many hats: project assistant, M&E officer, grants officer, project coordinator. Which role stretched you the most, and why?
Well, I'll definitely have to say the role that has stretched me the most is my current role in working in HR and being a manager. It's difficult. So working in HR and administration, I would say it is not for the weak. This role has stretched me beyond my imagination. It has been rewarding but challenging, and it really has allowed me to grow in new ways, as it's people focused. However, there are still many nuances in this particular area versus psychology. which psychologist, somebody is coming to you for help. They're coming to you for counseling. In HR, it's a very much different dynamic. You're there in between the organization, the management, the leadership of the organization. You're in between that in service to the employees, the staff of the organization. And sometimes those things can feel like a push and pull. And then it's really not, but it can feel that way. And it's just a area that really requires a lot of emotional intelligence and a lot of wisdom too. So I think this one is the one that has really stretched me the most. I'm still learning. I've been in this role. This month marks a year. I didn't even think about it until now that it's been a year since I've been in this position, and I'm still learning and growing as the days go by. I'm still figuring it out, so to speak.
Okay. Congrats on that 1 year. And I do hope your coworkers are quite good and you continue to have good coworkers if you don't have already, because I know that would make it even more rewarding or rather manageable, right?
Yes,
Um,
I do. Thank you.
all right. So, right. So looking back, do you see your career as a straight line or more of a winding road that somehow always pointed to GASR?
So as you said, I've worn many hats. So it's definitely not been a straight line. I have not been one of those people whose trajectory has been linear and it's just from one to the other in the same. I've worked in so many different fields, all interrelated, and all you can take something from it and to the next, all transferable, but all very different. And that's been because of my adaptability. And, I'm a hard worker. It's not been a straight line. It's definitely been a winding road. Even this, while I would have studied HR formally, I would have never thought if you asked me I've been in this role for a year. So if you asked me a little bit over a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I would have looked at you crazy, even though it's something that I studied. I never saw it coming. So it's definitely a winding road. I don't even know what's next, but I'm always excited to see where my journey takes me and where God takes me.
Definitely know about that HR thing. I haven't necessarily worked. I said I didn't necessarily have an HR position, but because at the company I was working with, I think it's about 11 years, I wore many hats as well, and I was technically assisting with a lot of different things, even though like my role was at the time executive assistant, and then it was like the IT/account officer, but I was still doing so much other things, assisting other people doing, even the marketing guys was a small business still, but I
Oh,
was just doing marketing and all these, just so many things. It's a bit unstructured in a sense, but I was still grateful for the opportunity to just experience.
yes. That's the thing. While it's beautiful, it's great if your career path is linear, but if it's not, I'm it's still an opportunity to be grateful for the experience, because what it also gives you is that adaptability, those transferable skills. I always tell people that in my current role now, which is HR, I'm able to see things from so many different lenses, because before I got into HR, I would have done so many other jobs, from project management to monitoring and evaluation, as you said, customer service. So I can literally see things from different lenses in my current role and in whatever I do in the future. So I'm grateful for that opportunity, that it wasn't linear, because I felt like everything has contributed, created that melting pot of Nicola. No.
That's so true. Seeing things from different perspectives is very good, because especially in my IT stuff accounts role, right? I basically help troubleshoot hardware and software at the company, and also assisting with the accounting side as well. Sometimes we used to have like it was a engineering firm, so the engineers or technicians, sometimes their computer would be giving problems. They needed to send out a drawing or something like today, tomorrow, so that we could get paid. So at times I would have to pause my accounting work so that fix their computer so I could make sure that we get paid, because I know that my accounting side will be chasing them down, asking why are we not able to send out an invoice for this as yet, you know?
Yes, so it's beneficial for you to be able to see what goes on the other end and not just on your end.
Yeah. So at Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, you're not just steering programs, you're steering people. Let's talk leadership. What does transformational leadership mean to you in practice beyond the buzzword?
I like that you said that beyond the buzzword. And for me it's really more than a buzzword for me. It's a it's a lifestyle in terms of how I lead. I believe that as a transformational leader, persons that I come in contact with in whatever space, but let's use the workspace for now, that I should be able to motivate them and inspire them to achieve what they didn't think was possible, or even if they thought it was possible but they were not going towards it. It's for me, if it is that you are leading staff members and they come in contact with you and you should part ways, they should not be leaving the same way that they met you, because you are supposed to, as a leader, you should have an impact on them, a positive impact on them. I want to encourage persons to grow and to thrive. I never want someone to come in contact with me and not leave feeling motivated, inspired, and not feeling or knowing that they can achieve, do more, even greater than me. And that's what I believe transformational leadership is. I love to teach. I love for people to learn and to understand. And so I want to share knowledge with them. So of course, that if you want to empower someone, you have to be willing to teach them and to share knowledge with them. That's a big part of empowerment. And that's the kind of leadership I believe in. I love to see when persons who have worked with me, who I have been their leader, I love to see when they excel. It gives me great joy, it gives me great pleasure, especially knowing that you would have contributed to that in some way, and just to see persons shine. So it's not just about making yourself look good, making me look good, or the company or the department, but it's also helping that person to achieve their own goals and to contribute to the organization and to society.
Yeah. So not just to talk about it, but she's been about it as well. That's very good. Lead by example, they say, right?
Right.
So you talk about honest work, and hard work. Can you share an example of how those values came alive in our new challenge?
Well, the only thing that I can say is that in the workplace and in life, we have daily challenges. We have daily challenges working with other persons. We have daily challenges in just trying to accomplish whatever our goals are, whether they're personal goals or professional goals. And for me, I value my integrity above all. So in no matter in what area I'm trying to achieve, I believe in what I call the honest work, which is my integrity. So I always, when nobody's looking, is it the same Nicola in front of you now? Is that the same Nicola when nobody's looking? I have to ensure that my values, my morals, and my grounding, my Christian grounding, that they remain the same. I'm committed to doing the hard work, which a lot of times persons will sometimes shy away from that. Because, we say work smarter, not harder. But sometimes you really have to put that hard work in, whether it's physically, meaning working hard to get to whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, or it is having difficult conversations, I'm committed to doing what I know is hard, because it's a part of the process. It's a part of the journey. So I don't shy away from something because it's hard. Sometimes I may not attack it, attack in quotation. I may not attack it right away. I may say, I have to think about this. How will I do this? But at the end of the day, I know that I will do it. So I'm not afraid of the hard work. And the hard work, we we spoke earlier about, how much I value people, and that remains at the center of, of who I am. And so I can't leave the heart out of it. So I always lead with my conscience in terms of what I think is right, lead with my moral principles and my values. And I always try to put myself in the other person's shoes. So I'm always trying to be fair to them. I'm all about fairness and equity. And so for me, that's the hard work. So it's not about, for some people, they don't care about other people. It's all about getting to where they need to be. They don't care who they have to step on to get there. No, I don't believe in that. I believe that if I have to do that to get there, then it's fine. That's not for me, because I believe in lifting people up. So for me, that's the heart work. I can't leave my heart out of it. It's not just with the head, but with the heart. And that's really, and I go about my daily life and my job with these principles.
I couldn't have answered that question any better. Thank you, Nicola. And that's where we'll pause this chapter. Nicola's story is far from finished, and neither is this conversation. Join me next Sunday for part 2, where we dive even deeper. This is Adventures of a Wallflower. I'm JD Morgan, and stay tuned for This Week Poetry. This week's poem is entitled Golden Luminescence. Daffodil butter, poignantly smooth and creamy, luminescence of the sun is upon you. Ruffled blossoms won't stop your shine, morning spring so sweetly divine. Pleasant as the day sits still, in memory you always will. Sunny, vibrant tones of warmth and light. And for my other socials, you can check out my website at www.jd-morgan.com and Instagram page with handle j.d.morgan _writes. As well as on Facebook, you could search for the profile j.d.morgan. And I am also on TikTok as j.d.morgan_writes. And if you've read my book, kindly go to Goodreads and search for my author name or the book itself and give a review, a very honest review. Thank you. You've been listening to Adventures of a Wallflower with J.D. Morgan, where silence gets loud. Be sure to subscribe and follow on your favorite platform so you never miss a story that speaks, challenges, and inspires.